if you really had a solid career, I would die to have that kind of career.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
I'm going to see if I can snag that Adderall.
That's the banging flavor right there.
Oh yeah, it's good. It's good.
And we're recording right now because I'm just gonna why not? Just because we're live. Just trying to find the best way to. So we're live right now, but we'll just see because he should be popping on here shortly.
What's up, guys?
What's going
Hey, how
on?
we doing, man?
How we doing?
Not too bad.
Good.
How's the morning going, Danny?
Oh, good. It's early over here. I got kids, though, so we're up.
Yeah.
Got animals and stuff, so we got to take care of everything, get up. How you guys
Any cool
doing?
play? Not too bad, man. You had a lot of baseball stuff planned for today.
Where you guys based out of?
So I'm in Atlanta.
Okay.
And I'm from Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. All right.
Yeah,
You're in Cali?
In Orange County. I'm about 10 miles from Anaheim Stadium.
Okay.
Oh, sweet.
How have you adjusted to full-time daddy duty since you've retired from baseball?
Oh man, it's different. It's you go from being gone all the time, especially my last couple of years being in Mexico, gone all the time, and then coming home and actually having my kids to adjust to me being the disciplinary, one. So they're kind of like, they're little, but they're like, he's never here to do anything. Like now they have to adjust. But it's different, man. It's different retiring. It's different. You have a whole second life behind baseball.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that, and I have a mega contract and retire and be completely done. That's awesome, but you still get bored.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone wants to stay in baseball, no matter what. You want to stay in it.
Yeah,
definitely. And I know. And now you got all this time that you're trying to decipher exactly like where do you put it. Where you're so used to like a strict schedule.
Yeah,
90% of your time.
Yeah, you have to build out a new schedule. I mean, lifting every day. I've got animals, so I take care of my animals every single day, and at least doing something. But
yeah.
Oh yeah.
You got any new hobbies?
Yes, I have horses.
Wow.
Horses and stuff, and I still do a lot of baseball stuff. I teach a lot of baseball, and now we're opening up an academic school, so it'd be fun.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's sweet.
Awesome.
That's sweet.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys all about it.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, we can rock and roll if you're ready, Danny.
Hey, you guys tell me. open to having it just like this. It's fun. It's kind of a fun platform like this.
Definitely, man.
Yeah.
Definitely, man. All right, well, rock and roll.
Cool.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. This is StickTalk Podcast. You're with your hosts, Drew Richard and Ian Jenkins. We got an especially sweet guest here today for us. We have Danny Espinoza, MLB veteran, 8 years in the bigs, 7 with the Washington Nationals, and the king of facial hair, if I must say. So we got a super cool guest here today. How's your day going so far, Danny?
Oh, good, man. Just up California, waiting for it to warm up a little bit now.
Yeah. I will say you got a new challenge, a new competitor with the facial hair with Brandon Marsh. He's kind of killing the game right now with the caveman look.
I don't know, that stringy old beard I see out there. It kind of don't look as heavy. It looks a little stringy. But he's having a beard. He's hitting the crap out of the ball.
Yeah, he is.
So definitely. So we'll get rocking. Yep. So we'll get rocking and rolling here. Danny, so just kind of tell us a little background about you starting out in California growing up.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Santa Ana, California. Played at Alona Little League and then kind of moved through, played in Fountain Valley a little bit, played in Irvine, ended up going to Mater Dei High School. Played there. Played 2 years of JV. Actually made the USA team when I was on JV, and everybody else had been varsity for 2 years. I was on at Mater Dei.
Explain that. You got to explain that.
Yeah, there's got to be more behind that.
Sounds like the most backwards thing ever.
Yeah, so I was small. I went into high school. I was about 5'3". I could always play, but just, I was small. And the guy that was same grade as me played shortstop, and I actually played second base my first 2 years. And then I went to the Olympic tryouts at 16. And on my travel team, I played short. And we both got invited to the team. And our shortstop, who was a really good ball player, Michael Torres, he runs a program out here, a bunch of travel ball teams. He was our shortstop. And when we both made it to the trials, and then I made the team, and Mike didn't that year. And then we went back to high school, and Mike was already on varsity. I was on JV. We went back to high school, and they switched me over to short after making the USA team.
Oh yeah.
That's absurd. I've never heard anything like that. I can only imagine one of the kids on my team, and they're on Team USA, and I'm just sitting here chilling on the couch and I'm watching them play. That's insane.
Yeah, it's part of it.
So do you think the coach saw it? He's like, well, if USA is doing that, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was kind of I think probably one of the bigger factors is that I was in a transfer high school to go play with all my friends. I'm sure you guys seen Villa Park High School. It's a big nationally ranked high school that's out here. They're in Orange. Freddie Freeman, all those guys, that's kind of Mark Trumbo. That's where he went to school. It's all in the same area. And I was going to transfer there because all my buddies went to high school there. And I think when they heard I was going to transfer, I think they moved me over to short, maybe.
So growing up, were you always one of the better players, or did it take you a while to come into your own? How did that pan out?
Yeah, so I talked to my dad about that recently, and he said, he said your own age level. He said you definitely were, but I didn't really play my own age level. So in Little League and Pony, I would play with my own age level, but in travel ball, I was 8 or 9 playing on the 12-year-old team, and then when I was in high school, when I got into high school, my freshman year, I was playing on an 18U team. So my dad's like, when you were on those teams, you weren't the best player at all. Your junior and senior year. But I mean, our travel ball team, I always tell everybody, our travel ball team, my senior year was me, Hank Conger, Chris Tillman. Our entire squad was D1. We had 3 or 4 guys at the time, which, 04, 05, we had 3 guys on our team that were throwing 94, 96 in high school.
Wow.
Our travel ball team. So
dang.
Yeah, I was always one of the better ones for sure. But I was on some teams. Local guys around here were really good.
Yeah,
definitely. And going off of that too, obviously, if you're playing up, especially you're talking 8-year-old playing up to 11, 12. You know, you're talking
right.
a pretty big jump there. Obviously there's going to be some failure that like comes along with that, you know, because, you know, there's going to be times where you're just overwhelmed as an 8-year-old. Do you attribute some of your success to being able to kind of like deal with that failure in that mental game like really early on?
I think my mom and dad were always good about it with me. They're just kind of always helping me and kind of putting me in a spot to where that I could be successful, but they were never hard on me when I failed at those levels. I think my dad was hard on me when I was around my peers. Like, now you're with your own age group, right? You know, be very successful here. When I was playing up, sometimes it was more of just I think it was more of a challenge, and I think he wanted to challenge me. And the result, I don't know if he was always concerned about it, but he was more on me about with my own age group, like, how are you not hitting these guys? Like, you're hitting at a higher level, and then you come backwards and you're not hitting. So I think mentally it was just, it didn't affect me as much when I was young. I just kind of played, and I didn't think about it, to be honest. No one made a big deal out of it. My coach didn't make a big deal out of it. That's just where he put me.
Yeah,
that's great.
Do you feel like playing, you know, with older? We'll put it like this. I always tell people this: when you're 14, 15, growing up, it's better to like, no, you're not gonna get drafted right away, right?
Right.
No scouts are really looking at you like that. When you got drafted, how many scouts asked you what your batting average?
Oh, no one.
No one. They don't care. They don't care how many games you won at all. So it's really, really important that you stress development at that time, as opposed to just going somewhere where you could have easily dominated, like playing with your age group. Even some kids nowadays play down, things like that, just to dominate. But those years, I feel like is very pivotal and probably kickstarted you for many years to come. So let's talk about college a little bit. What was college like for you?
It was crazy. College was awesome. You know, I kind of had my choice of where I wanted to go out here. And I ended up choosing Long Beach State. I thought about going to Florida schools and thought about kind of heading back that way. And I ended up just staying here. And, you know, with Tulowitzki and Bobby Crosby being the shortstops before me, I just thought, you know, this is where I want to go. This is what I want to concentrate on. I wasn't really concerned with the college, you know, quote unquote college experience at that time. I was more concerned with playing ball because to be honest, I didn't want to go to college. I wanted to sign out of high school and go straight and start playing. I wanted to play every single day, you know, and I value education. It was just at that point, it was just, I thought the route for me would have been better in pro ball because my mentality. But we went to college, and I get there. I'm a freshman. Evan Longoria is a junior, and our coach tells us, you know, we got to see who's going to play short. Whoever plays better defense, I don't care how you hit. Whoever's playing defense wins the job. So start the year, we didn't know who was the shortstop. Not even opening day, we didn't know the shortstop. No one knew who the shortstop was going to be until he wrote the lineup 30 minutes before the game.
That's wild.
And I was playing short, batting probably like, I don't know, probably at the bottom, if I remember correctly, probably semi-low. And then we opened up against USC. My first collegiate hit was against Ian Kennedy.
Nice.
But college was fun, man. College was a lot of fun, baseball-wise, the experience. I look back at some of this stuff, like the gimmicky stuff that we all did in college, and I'm like, God, we probably look like idiots, because now I look at some of these kids jumping around on the mountain and stuff, and I'm like, just act like you've done it before. Like, is that your first strikeout of your life? Like, act like you've done it before, you know? And I understand the energy, and I love the energy, and I always tell everyone, if you want to learn how to play baseball, you watch college baseball. Definitely. You watch college baseball. They play the game the right way with the right intent, with the right energy. That's where you learn to play baseball. So, but it was fun. College was wonderful. I loved college.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you love college. You came out right out the gates, and you won Big West Conference play or freshman of the year right out the rip. And so, and obviously coming into that year, you didn't know, like you said, that lineup was wrote out that day, and you got put into the lineup right there. You know, what was the mentality going into that? Obviously, you didn't have anything locked up. You didn't have a position like, okay, like you said, you had your own choice of where to go, and you chose this place, and then you weren't sure if it was your type of if it was your job right out the gate. How did that prepare you mentally, and kind of what was your mentality going into that?
Well, I didn't when I went through the whole recruiting process, I wasn't looking for anybody to guarantee me anything. I was looking for somebody to give me a real opportunity. So I wasn't looking for, and anyone that says I've got a full ride scholarship is full of crap. So I wasn't looking for that. I was looking for something that could help my family cover some of the bills. And I was looking for something that would give me a real opportunity, not a lie and say you're our guy, and then look at their squad and be like, well, the shortstop's a sophomore, he just hit 360. Like, how am I the guy? Like, I looked for opportunity, and he told us when Mike Weathers came to our house, and he said, I'm not guaranteeing you anything. He said, I'll guarantee you get a fair opportunity to win the job. He said, I can't say anything more than that, though. You'll be able to come in, you'll compete. If you win the job, it's yours. But he said, I'll give you a fair shot to win the job. And he did. That's all I could ask for. And that's kind of the way I looked at the rest of my career, was getting an opportunity, and I had to make the most out of it.
What would you say, what part of the game came the easiest to you? And then what part of the game was a bit more difficult to you? And how'd you go about fixing that or improving?
Kind of at different times in my career was different. Defense was always probably what came very easy for me. Not that I didn't work on it, worked on it a lot, but it was just something it just kind of all came together for me defensively, consistently. Offensively, it kind of changed. Like, there was times where I'd be really, really good left-handed, couldn't hit right-handed, and then it would flip, and I would say the hardest thing was just trying to stay on top of those swings. Like, I could get going left-handed and, hit the crap out of the ball for 10 days and not see a left-handed pitcher. And then all of a sudden, run a strand of Cliff Lees and Cole Hamels and all these guys in a row. Just like, I haven't had that bat in 2 weeks right-handed, so I think trying to stay on top of that was probably the hardest thing in baseball for me to be consistent with, was my hitting, for sure.
Well, and that makes a ton of sense, Danny, because I was watching your interview on MLB Network, and you were discussing how it's two entirely different swings for you. And
yeah,
so you, like you're saying, you could be on a tear left-handed, and then, all right, we got a string of 3-4 lefties this week, or whatever it may be, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh shoot, like these reps. Right. So I mean, moving on to that, what was your routine the same? Given that there were two different swings, was it still the same routine left-handed as it was right-handed?
No, equal work, different routines.
Okay.
What I felt I could do right-handed was different than what I felt I could do left-handed. And so when I would work right-handed to warm up, it was more, I wanted the ball up, and I liked the ball up and out over the plate. Left-handed, I was more middle, probably just away. As much as I stood on the plate, I wanted the ball more middle and off the plate. But I didn't want the ball up as much. Right-handed, I wanted the ball up. So when I did my drills right-handed, I always made sure I felt good on the tee with the ball up in the zone, to make sure that my path was clean to that ball to get it, in the gap. Didn't want it rolling it over or anything like that. So it was a completely different routine. And when it came to BP, is where if it was a lefty starting, then it would be, I would start right-handed in BP, and if it's a righty starter, I start left-handed BP, and I take 2 rounds for sure from both sides, and then finish with whatever was going to be my starting side.
Mm-hmm. So being on 2 different sides, like you said, you had to develop 2 different routines. For the kids out there, a lot of people don't know how to go about building a routine. How did you figure out your routine, throughout the years, especially with 2 different sides? You had to figure out a lot. How'd you go about building those routines?
Yeah, so young, it was more, when I was a kid, it was more just whatever work I could get with my soft toss. I had a little personal soft toss machine.
Yeah.
I sit in the garage, and it would just flip it up to me. That's what I had. My dad was home. Dad would obviously soft toss to me, but most of the time I used that, or he'd throw me BP. We'd go to the batting cages. When I got older, it became something more of what got me loose and what made me feel right. What made me believe that I was ready to go into the game with my feel, right? Like, I didn't want to go into the game and have someone come up and be like, "Oh, try this drill." Like, I didn't really want to try. I didn't know if I was going to go in there and take a bunch of weird swings and be like, I don't feel good now. Even if I went 0 for 4, I wanted to feel like I was ready, to compete. So for me, I think finding what your routine is finding what works. Not superstitious. Don't be superstitious and be like, I got to do this in order to get a hit. That's not routine. A routine is, for me, is what you go in and it makes you feel good. It makes you feel ready to compete. I like BP. I really like a live arm. I hate all the new machine stuff. There's no timing. There's nothing. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. You put these on these little jugs machines everyone's hitting on. There's no downhill plane to any of that. None of it makes sense to me. So I wanted to see a live arm so I could work on my timing, be on time, be clean, and then go into the game.
Nice. As far as pitch recognition, what did you do to work on pitch recognition? Is it something that you were always good at, or is it something that you had to like figure out?
No, I mean, I struck out, a lot. I mean, when I played, now I think everybody probably strikes out, in the 150 range.
Yeah.
Shouldn't say everyone, but a lot of guys. And so for me, pitch recognition became more, I always saw spin well. And it was more, if it was more in my head with my mental approach, if I was striking out, if I was believing what I could do. I saw spin well, which just sounds weird. Like, well, why'd you swing at a bad pitch? It's like, well, I was probably thinking about everything mechanically wrong in my swing at the time and trying to hit 98. So I wasn't really thinking about seeing the ball. I was just trying to be right or not strike out or doing everything wrong you don't want to do as a hitter. I would do and then find myself 0-2 and then striking out again. So
you're starting off in the hole and you're battling. Yeah.
It was 0-0 and I was in a hole trying to figure it out in the batter's box.
And kind of going off of strikeouts. I mean, it's definitely an interesting conversation because I work with a lot of younger ones and a lot of kids, and what you see a lot of the times, Danny, is like, an 8-year-old will first at bat go down hacking and swinging really hard and getting their ace swing off, and then they strike out. Then they go up their second at bat, and then all of a sudden you just see this completely different hitter that's like selling out for contact. And obviously, what, like you said, your strikeout numbers were high, but how did you make sure? What was your mentality, or what was your mental approach that helped you stay locked in regardless of success or failure?
I don't know, because I had some successful years and I had some years of part success and parts of my game were failure with average and stuff like that. So for me, I look back and I look at everything I did, I did incorrectly when I was hitting. And that's kind of how I teach baseball, is I teach off of my failure. And when I look at hitting, I look at it and I go, man, I don't know why I was going up there afraid to fail. When I was going good, no one in the league I thought could get me out.
No.
But when I was going bad, anyone could have gotten me out, because mentally before I got up there, people, don't strike out, don't do this, do that. So I go up there and I'm like, all right, don't strike out. Let's go up there and just swing. And then you find yourself swinging at bad pitches or just making contact or, something like that, So when I talk to young hitters, I never tell them about, hitting the ball in the air and driving, home runs. What I say is you hit hard line drives, hit the ball in the gap. As you get older and you get stronger and you start creating leverage, those balls that are backspinning in the gap will start taking off, right? When you start working your body, you start lifting, everything else, your body comes together, those balls will start taking off and you don't have to worry about it. But I really try to keep a lot of the kids just working right up the middle, stay everything up the middle, so your timing can be a little bit early, a little bit late, and you can still have a large margin for error.
So you said, when you're in the box, sometimes you're thinking things mechanically or what you needed to do mechanically, because you evidently had flaws. So you were aware of your mechanics. Let's say, looking back now, And in an ideal world, what would you change about your swing mechanically?
I wouldn't change anything mechanically. I would probably. I was one of the rare guys that when they said swing down, I could almost swing down. I was strong enough to where I could actually control the bat and swing the barrel down, and get really, really steep. When I was younger, I always thought of hitting as being on plane. Before any of this was talked about, when I was a kid, I always thought about trying to be on the same plane as the ball. So not trying to hit a home run. I was never a home run hitter when I was a kid. I was just trying to hit the ball to left center when I was hitting left-handed. So I knew that if I swung down, I couldn't do that. So I would probably go back and really focus on my playing being a tick more level and having the mindset of taking my hands to the ball, not swinging down on the ball, but wherever the ball's at, to take my hands to it, understanding my barrel will follow wherever my hands go.
I like that a lot.
Definitely.
I just, the way I looked at it, and there was so much barrel teaching going on when I played, and catch the ball really deep and barrel through the ball. And that wasn't how I thought of hitting, but I when you're struggling, you're going, okay, well, I got to change something. I got to try something, and especially when you're young. And so, that's not who I was when I was younger. Everything was really out front, really hands to the ball. And, the more I stepped away from the game, I realized that if you swing with your barrel, if you think about taking your barrel to the ball, for me, there's a lot of mistakes that can happen, right? If you think about taking your hands to your ball, your barrel goes wherever your hands is. Your barrel can never be above your hands when you swing. So I don't talk about any of it because it's physically impossible for your barrel to be above your hands when you make contact.
Yeah. No matter how much you try and feel it.
Yeah.
Right. So if you take your hands to the ball, that barrel is going to be slightly under your hands above the ball, but your barrel will follow your hands. If you think the other way, it won't happen.
So now, and we were talking about how conscious you were of your mechanics and what you would change mechanically. Now, let's talk mentally. Like, what would you try to do now, knowing what you know? As what you said, you had somewhat of a fear of failing, even at your major league level. You're a major league hitter, and still have that same kind of back of your head, like, shoot, like you're letting some of those voices kind of get there. How would you change that mental approach, knowing what you know now?
That mental approach, what I would have done is just gone out there and competed and stopped worrying about everything. I think it creeps into everyone's head of failure. I don't think you're going to get rid of that. You can have as much confidence you want. People can say fake it till you make it. When you're going good, when you're bad. You know what's up. Like, the only thing I would say is I wouldn't have thought of my mechanics when I was hitting, because I was literally doing everything but seeing the ball. So when you're in there hitting and you're thinking about your mechanics, you're thinking about timing, you're thinking about this, you're thinking about everything that, get your foot down. Well, have you ever seen anybody take a swing with their foot in the air? Because I haven't. You're thinking about all this crap, and the one thing that's important is to see the ball and to let 25 years of playing catch up to that. Instead, you're thinking about all this mechanical stuff, and then you never see it, and then you make a bad decision because you're being passive, you're not being aggressive. Like, that's what I would have done.
Yeah. Sometimes it's really funny. We'll get in the cage, and it's happened a lot when I was in college, to where we get in the cage and we're like, okay, we got to work on mechanics. We're hitting off the machine and we're struggling. And then next thing you know, one of us starts hitting better, and we're like, okay, what'd you do? Well, I looked harder. Like, wait, what do you mean? I just tried to see the ball. And that makes all the difference in the world, because before you hit it, you got to see it. If you want to time it, you got to see it. So you got to really emphasize on focusing on the ball. That's the thing you want to about all these movements. But if you're on time, your body's more likely to organize the right way. So it takes care of a lot of things. I think that so many kids, especially nowadays, there's so much information out there, man, with all the swing mechanics and all this, that it's paralysis by analysis. And kids get frozen up, and next thing you know, like they're a completely different player because they're in their head. And then the fear of failure, it's all these different things. They're thinking about mechanics and failure, and start spiraling on kids, and it begins to be too much. And then you got mom and dad in the stands like, hit the ball, yeah, trying to hit the ball. It's that easy, right? It's that easy.
Yep. Yeah. No, you're 100% correct. I mean, I think if you work on seeing the ball, everything else falls in place. You know, I always tell all the kids I work with, and I tell the parents, if you take a 6-year-old swing and slow it down before you teach any mechanics, they do what you're supposed to do. Their hands go to the ball, hands are above the ball, barrels below their hands, and they're right where they're supposed to be. What happens is that we overcoach. And when we overcoach, we mess up natural movements that the body makes. Naturally, there's athletic movements we make. We mess them up. Right? Like naturally, you go forward to hit into the ball. Then we start teaching kids to stay back and fall back and throw your shoulders up and do this and point your barrel and all of a sudden we got this 8-year-old is like
lost.
Oh, this is fun. Yeah. You know, we ruin it. You know, so I think the simplicity of hitting has to be noted. You have to stick with it. The more and more we teach, and the more and more we try to break a swing down in microseconds, right? Milliseconds, all that stuff, and then we just tear apart a swing that it's like, okay, what was, you just hit a line drive. Why are we breaking the swing down?
Yeah.
Like, what's the reason?
None at all.
I agree with you completely.
Ain't broke, don't fix it. That's the thing you got to look at. You know, we got athletic natural movements that are happening without us messing with it. Why the heck should we be messing with it too? So is it for your childhood, is there any point that you felt like that natural part had turned to like, okay, now I'm like, when did the mechanics start really becoming a focus in your playing career, Danny?
Probably in college, and probably even more so in pro ball. When it was my dad and I, my dad was just, he never talked about losing your lower half, because it happens. Your lower half's going to get into the ball. But he would always talk about, take your hands to the ball, be level to the ball, take your hands, stay in the zone as long as you can. And he worked with me a more direction or approach of being in left center, left-handed, right-handed, being more up the middle. And it always was take your hands to the ball. Just be clean with your hands. Don't overswing. Just hit a line drive. And then when I got into college, I started hearing a lot of mechanics. And that kind of, hit the ball. When I played at college, because I wasn't 6'3", it was hit the ball on the ground and run. Hit the ball on the ground and run. And I wasn't the biggest fan of that idea. I was more of the thought process of hit a line drive. Like, I get the hit the ball on the ground, don't try to get big, but you can do that just trying to hit a line drive too, not trying to chop balls into the ground and run. And then when I got to pro ball was when it really was like hearing stuff I'd never heard. Catch the ball, when I was coming up, catch the ball off your back leg almost, like, even with your belly button just deep. Now I talk to everyone. I'm like, do you understand that contact point? Like, that's in the catcher's glove.
Late.
Hey, take contact out in front of your foot, you're done.
Yeah.
You try to catch the ball back here, sliders in the dirt, curveballs in the dirt, changeups had its movement, cutters on your hands, sinkers down and away. And by the way, enforcing fastballs in the catcher's glove before you pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
So if you work on a point that deep, expect that to be your contact point in the game, and expect those struggles to happen. So that's when I first started hearing all this stuff about, arm down, this, and I was just like, holy crap, like, this is a lot. And I think the intent, I always say my instructors, their intent was to make me the best player that they could possibly make. I think sometimes the verbiage used to explain what was going on at the time within the hitting industry may not have been always correct, or it wasn't always relayed to us correctly. I had a hitting coordinator with Washington who was really good that I credit him a lot to why I had success. But he was very good with explaining everything, and that's why I had the success I had hitting with him.
That's awesome. A ton of baseball. You've been around a ton of baseball players. Everybody has somebody in their career who's either pushed them to get better or has helped them learn a lot? Who was that in your career, if you had something like that?
On the field or off?
Let's go both. Let's go on the field and let's go off the field.
On the field, who pushed me to get better? Oh, that's good. I don't know. I don't know. I pushed myself a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I was never
a lot
satisfied.
Of intrinsic motivation, of course.
Yeah, I was never satisfied with anything. I would say in the big leagues, like I'd say Jason Worth and Ian Desmond were two guys that constantly pushed me, like, you're better than this, or, you know, would talk to me. Off the field would be my parents. Support, but also understanding the lifestyle, understanding everything that I had from a young kid. They were always there to support and do whatever. So I would say my parents off the field for sure. Then on the field, professionally, it would 100% be Jason and Ian Desmond.
And let's dive a little bit into your hitting coach with the Nationals that you were talking about. You said that he was explaining things better. Kind of dive a little bit into what made that coach efficient and helpful for you.
Yeah, so his name is Troy Gingrich, hitting coordinator. He was just really good with everybody's individual feels, I thought. And I don't want to speak for anybody because I'm sure there's people that thought he was the worst hitting coach in the world, just like anybody. He can't please everybody, right? I just thought he was very good with individuals and their feels. And okay, well, he didn't try to make everyone one swing that I didn't think. And so it was more that he could explain the difference of swinging down with your hands and in comparison to swinging down with your barrel, right? So you do swing down with your hands. You have to, unless the ball's above your hand, up. Your barrel doesn't go down, right? Your barrel doesn't go directly down to the ball. It's impossible. But he was very good with relaying that message of swinging down or swinging up or whatever it was. And I thought that a lot of people at the time, when they said swing down, they were taught they would demonstrate with the barrel.
Yeah, like,
you know, over the top.
Yeah, chop it.
And it's an impossible movement, right? It's impossible. And so for me, he was who I trusted just because he knew I liked to think of my hands. So he used everything that he taught and he would teach it to me so I'd understand it, how to implement it with my hands. So I thought he was very good with being able to work with individuals and help them out.
Nice. So going back to your playing career and who you played with, seeing a lot of guys, what was the biggest separator between guys who made it and guys who didn't?
In the minors?
Yep.
Work ethic. I saw a lot of high round picks that were so good in high school because they hit 9,000 and never 80 stick, and they come from a smaller state or whatever, and they've never had failure. Never have they had failure. And they didn't have a routine. They didn't have anything. They just had raw talent. So when you get them into league ball, you're going to have failures. But it was the guys that didn't have anything to go to when they start failing. It was the guys that I've never struggled. Now I'm, 0 for 25. I have a day off for the next 3 weeks. And I don't know what routine to do. I don't know what drill to do. It's different now. A lot of the kids away because everyone's got hitting coaches and everyone's, it's totally different. But when I was coming up, that's what I saw. And it was like, they would just think, don't worry, it'll clean itself up. And it's like, not at that rate, man. Like you're nowhere close right now. Like you're not putting in early work to try to figure it out. You're not looking at anything to try to see what's going on. You're just kind of hoping that tomorrow is going to be like high school and you're just going to come out and get 4 hits again. And you can't hope.
Yeah.
I love that. But I think that's great because I attribute this to like a lot of younger hitters I work with. Sometimes we'll just go off the tee and they'll be like, oh, I'm hitting the ball really good. And that's awesome. And I'll say that's important that you're hitting the ball good, but understanding why you might be hitting the ball good, because yeah, when you're rolling, just like you're saying, these guys have never seen failure. They're just like, I'm a freak. I've been hitting the crap out of the ball. And,
Yep.
but then they don't know why it's going good. And then when it goes bad, they don't know why it's going bad. So when it's good, it's like, fine. Yeah. You don't want to think, you want to chill. But then you flip the coin and now you're meeting with guys who are similar talent and you have no idea what the heck's going on and why you were good in the first place. And then you're in this, that's a really hard hole to dig out of. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it goes so deep because you're not now competing for a high school championship. Mm-hmm. You got so many walks of life that are competing for a living. So they're gonna do whatever they have to do to get you out, and they don't care. They'll throw one behind you, throwing up and in. They don't care. Say ball slip. They don't give two shits, right? They don't care at all.
Yeah.
You're competing with a different human, potentially someone that's come from a third world country that is going to do whatever they have to do to beat you. And they don't care. And just like I didn't care, a lot of guys, they don't care where your walk of life's from. I'm going to go out and beat you. And I think for a lot of people, if you don't have that mentality and you think you're just going out to a high school game again, oh, this will work out. This is different. They're competing for their lives. Guys are competing for their life when you're out there. Like this is not for a high school championship anymore.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I like to say, like, when I'm talking to younger kids, I'm saying you guys aren't competing with. Oh, I think we lost him.
Oh, did you?
There we go. When I'm talking to high school kids, I like to say, like, okay, do you want to make it to the major leagues? They said yes. Okay, well, you're not competing with the guy that you can see. You're competing with the guy that you can't see. The guy that's fighting for his next meal, and you have to go about it the same way. And if you don't, they will eat you alive because it's a whole. They're fighting for their life. While you're just fighting, or you're just playing because you love the game, which is cool and all. But if you want to make it to the highest level, it's I look at it as like life or death. Are you willing to die for this? What are you willing to sacrifice in order to get you to that level? Speaking on that, when you get to like the talent level of the major leagues, where everybody's super talented, everybody's a good baseball player.
Right.
By that point, most guys haven't made it there just by talent. It's some work ethic too. What's the separator when at the highest level? What's the separator between the guys who are good and the guys who are really good?
Yeah, I don't know pitching wise. What I used to think pitching wise is different now. What I used to think pitching wise is the best pitchers when I'd face a Roy Halladay and all these Cliff Lees is that if you were going to beat them, you were going to have to beat their stuff. They were going to pitch the way they pitch, and you had to figure out how to hit their stuff. Pitching nowadays is different. They have all this scouting stuff with, they don't pitch to their strength. They pitch to weakness, which is different.
Yeah. Very different.
It used to be Roy Halladay was going to beat you. He's going to beat you with his best thing. It wasn't he was going against your weakness. He didn't care about your weakness. He was going at you with his stuff, right? Craig Kimber was going at you with his stuff. His best pitcher is a fastball. He's going to throw it 100 to see if you yeah. So, hitting wise, man, the guys that were the best hitters could forget about the night before, could forget about the bat before, and it wasn't, I tell you, when it wasn't bat speed, it wasn't power, it wasn't that. The best hitters was who was on time most often, who could consistently be on time. Didn't care about bat speed. I saw guys with some slow bats that could really hit. They were on time. They were in the zone for a long time. So guess what? They always hit. They were always on time. Always on time. If it was 100, if it was 85, they were on time. That's what
you walk that line.
And it was the thought that they could always forget.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know for one, whatever. I'm gonna go do my work real quick, and I'm gonna get 3 hits tonight. Watch. That's what I saw.
How do you walk that line of having a short-term memory, but also learning from failure? Because you can't continue to fail the same way over and over.
Totally.
It's insanity, according to some people. So how do you walk that line?
Well, I think you have to look at what you did and be able to learn, right? Be able to learn what you did wrong. But you also have to look at it and say, well, that was today. Tomorrow's a new. The best thing about baseball and pro ball, tomorrow's a new day.
Tomorrow.
And when you start realizing that, and I think what it takes sometimes is not having that mentality to learn from that. When you don't realize new day and you hold on to it and you realize holding on to it does nothing. holding on to it doesn't give you any success going forward, because it's going to just eat you up mentally, so yes, you go and look at it, and you look at all your film. Was I mechanically wrong? And this is what I hate about film, is that, was I mechanically wrong? Was I doing, look at my hands, they're doing all this stuff, but did you just swing at a slider in the dirt?
Yeah. What do you expect?
What is going to look good
film for? Like, why are we looking at film? You swung at a fastball over your head and you swung at a slider in the dirt. Are we really looking at mechanics right now?
Yep.
So I think you have to be able to go through that stuff and digest it, and then, okay, tomorrow's a new day. I got 4 more at bats tomorrow. Let's go have 4 good at bats. And then it's like, okay, I went 0 for 4. I hit 4 balls hard.
That's a win.
I feel good. I'm going in tomorrow.
Yeah.
If I feel good, I know I'm gonna get. I'll have 4 more good at bats tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that for me, that's what you kind of have to be able to do.
That's great. Like quick memory, like a really short memory, but then it's like the understanding of what every day is. I love that. That's a great mentality to have, because like you said, I love the quote where you're like, regardless of how good or bad you did, the next day it doesn't really carry any water for that next day.
Carries no weight.
New day. No way.
Can you guys give me 1 second?
Yeah, no problem.
I got little kids. Hold on. 1 second.
Oh, you're good, man. You're good.
Yeah, that's fine.
But no, I mean.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. I think that it's the mentality you have to make it to that level is you need to understand when to forget and understand when to learn, right? And that's such a hard line to walk, because if you care enough to get to that level, you're going to, like you said, you're going to worry a lot. And then you're not going to forget about a lot. But it's like sometimes the things that you want most in life, you kind of got to go the opposite direction. If you want to be really, really good at baseball, yes, you have to work hard, but when you're out there, you can't press. You can't press to be really good. You just got to be free, right? And that's such a hard line to walk with so many players today. Always, honestly.
Right. Definitely. I mean, yeah, if we can, that's a big part what we've talked about, because obviously we talked to Bobby Magianis, and I think a lot of the stuff that you're seeing a lot of similarities in the approach of simplistic and trying to the day by day of hey, being as simple as you can, the mental side and the importance of really diving into that. Because I mean, we've talked a little mechanics, but just as Danny's talking about, he's like, I overthought mechanics and I overcompensated for mechanics, and those overcompensation of mechanics is what broke him mentally, because when we're talking to Bobby Magianis, and he's saying that the game's 90% mental, and we're working on but we work on the 10% 100% of the time, and then the mental 0% of the time. What's the math there? What are we thinking when it comes to that? But got it. So in 2011, you led the league in a stat. Do you know what you led the league in, Danny?
Probably hit by pitches or something like that.
You got it. Hit by pitches. So I want to talk that's got it, because I think you almost had 100. I want to see what you had. Well, how many hit by pitches here? You had 78 hit by pitches in your career, which is just an outstanding stat. Is that something that doesn't surprise you from your approach, or do you think pitchers just hate you?
No, I don't think pitchers hate me. I don't think. I definitely understand at times when I was going bad that I wasn't out. They weren't trying to hit me. It was just the fact that when guys would go inside, it was, it's different. In college, they go inside and they miss out over the plate. In big leagues, they go inside, they're missing inside.
Yeah.
And I stood on the plate, so I understood that I was going to get hit. And with 2 strikes, I wasn't moving when I was going bad. When I was going bad with 2 strikes, I was not moving.
I was hitting it. The pitcher's bailing you out right there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially the majority of my career, I hit in front of the pitcher. And so I get pitched real backwards, and I'd constantly be a nibbling game, and more of a mind game hitting in front of the pitcher. And man, if it was a situation where that they hit me to flip the lineup, nobody on, 2 outs, and they hit me, and we could flip the lineup some next inning, because we knew the pitcher's getting out. Next inning, we'd have top of the lineup leading off. That was my job. I had to get that lineup flipped somehow.
That's awesome.
So then what's your opinion then on like the game that is now? Obviously, like you were a part of obviously what the old NL rules where the pitcher's hitting. What are your thoughts on it now? I mean, obviously you have universal DH. What's your thoughts there, man?
I like the universal DH. I would have liked a position player hitting behind me for more.
Absolutely.
You know, but I do like it. I think that there's too much risk in having the pitchers get hurt, and I think it's just an out. No one wants to see the pitcher hit. Like, yeah, it's cool to see Madison Bumgarner go deep and to see the guys go deep every once in a while. But in all reality, I'd rather have watch a DH take 4 at bats as a fan. You know, I want to see the pitchers do what they do. It's cool to see DeGrom get hits. You know, he was a shortstop. He can hit. He, you know, really, really athletic. But I'd rather just watch him throw 100, not take a chance of getting hit by a pitch or, you know, get jammed and blow his thumb up and not be able to go out there and throw. So, I think I like the new universal DH deal. And it creates another job in my mind, a good job.
Yeah, good job. Absolutely. Absolutely. So pivoting a little bit, favorite moments in your career?
Well, my first day called up was the day Niger Morgan charged a mound in Florida. That was my first day in the big leagues.
Tony Plush.
I didn't know what was going on. I was, you know, coming out of AAA. I was like 23, and I flew in that morning. It was a day game, and I was just so excited. Was having a hard time getting dressed for the game because I was in the big league locker room, and I thought this is the coolest thing in the world. And we're out there like in the 3rd or 4th inning. They've already hit him once. I'm not even paying attention because I don't know what's going on. So I'm like, I got hit by a pitch. And little did I know that he had already, broken someone's collarbone or something like another series. So it was going to happen. And then he steals a couple of bases when we were down by a lot. And I still wasn't paying attention. I was just kind of enthralled with everything going on, being at the stadium. And we're down by 10 or something. They're like, hey, you're going to pinch hit for Adam Dunn. It's like the 6th inning. And so I'm trying to find my helmet, my batting glove.
Yeah, scrambling right now.
I'm scrambling in the dugout, and then bam, it happens. And then first day, just in a big old bench clear. So I always think about that one. I always think that one was funny. And then, personal stuff that I think about, my personal successes. I had a big series, my one player of the week against when we were playing the Reds, and I think I had in that one series alone, we had a 4-game set against Cincinnati. I had 5 home runs and 15 RBIs. That 4 games set. Two grand slams. There was personal things, but what I can remember was when we won the division for the first time in Washington in 2012. Mm-hmm. And then going to the playoffs, and I can remember it being so loud that it's deafening. Like you can scream at the top of your lungs to the guy next to you, and there's no shot that they can hear you. Like there's not a chance that anyone can hear you. And remembering the intensity of everyone says every at bat's important, right? Every at bat. In playoffs, every pitch is important. You don't get a mental break. You're so tired at the end of a playoff game because of the intensity of every single second, every single pitch, right? You see guys in the big leagues hit a ground ball and jog down the line. That doesn't happen in playoffs.
No.
When playoffs start, they book it down the line. You do not miss. For me, it was always something I'll always remember was the intensity of playoffs.
That's insane. I got to ask you, I want to dive on that because that's just a funny story about the brawl with Niger. What was your role in the breakup crew?
I was wrestling with Alex Sanabria for no reason. He went in the thing and I jumped on him. And I pulled him out of the pile. And then St. Clair, the pitching coach for the Marlins at the time, grabbed me and was like, "Espy, get out of here! You're not a part of this shit." And so I was just in there trying to yank someone off. I didn't know like what
Yeah.
So
you just got to get out there.
Yeah, you're like,
you have to get out there. I mean, it's your team. I didn't know anybody on the team, but I had to get out there.
So that's my team.
Yeah, that was my team. I just went and jumped in. I can remember how I was running out there, and I could see the guys from the Marlins just coming in, just jumping over the dog pile, and just landing on top, and it was just throwing haymakers.
Oh my god.
Oh man, that's good.
Yeah, that was an intense moment for sure.
Right out the gate too. First day.
First, I mean, we were like in the 5th inning of my first day, and it was I flew in like we were in AAA, so we got home at like 2 a.m, and my manager called me in and was like, "Hey, you going to the big leagues in the morning?" It was September 1st call. So I arrived in Miami at like, I don't know, I had a flight at like 4 a.m, 5 a.m, arrived, and I was at the field at like 10 a.m. I hadn't slept.
Yeah, you never slept.
No, I hadn't slept. I'm foggy, don't know where I'm at in Miami. Get a taxi to the field, and, couldn't find my glove because one of our coaches took my glove on accident. So I was like panicking the whole game of if something happens, I don't even have my glove with me because he packed it in his bag. After BP, he put my glove in his bag on accident. So I was like, I don't know where my glove's at. I didn't want to ask anybody because I don't want to bother anybody. So I was like, just trying to search everywhere to find my glove. I had no clue what was going on. All of a sudden, we're just in a brawl. I'm just going, oh my God. Like,
that had to be the fastest day of his life.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. Game ends, and I don't even know what happened. I got my first hit that day.
That's awesome.
It was a bad hop double into right center. I slid into second base, and Hanley Ramirez tags me. He like kicks me in the leg, and I was like, okay. And he's like, oh, he was talking to me like I was a part of like
that
the brawl of the history, and I'm like looking at him like, I don't even know what's going on today, dude. Like, I'm like laying on the ground. I just slid into second, and the umpire comes up to him and goes, Hanley, he just got to the big leagues 2 days ago. He's like, leave him alone. Like 2 hours ago.
And he's like,
he's like, my bad, Poppy. Hey, congratulations.
Flip just like that.
And so then we get on the plane. We would leave, and I'm still, everything's a blur. We got on the plane. We're like sitting down in this private jet. I've never seen a private jet. Sit down in this private jet, and they've got steak and lobster for us. I'm just going, dude, this is the craziest thing in the world. This is the best. I'm never leaving this way. You know what I mean? Like, I had no clue where to sit because everybody's got their seats on a private jet. I mean, no clue where to sit, and I'm just kind of like standing in the aisle, and everyone's looking at me. I'm like, I don't know where to. I don't want to ask anybody where to sit down anywhere. Yeah. And Pudge Ivan Rodriguez goes, hey baby, come sit next to me. Now I'm like, I never even talked to him, and now I'm sitting next to a first Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Like, hang out with the Hall of Famer, get steak and lobster, getting a fight earlier in the day. I'm like, this is great.
What a rush! That's literally just the most well-rounded day.
And your family was able to come out, or no?
So we flew from there to Pittsburgh. We had a day off from between those series, and I was just there for 1 day. I was there for the third game of the series against the Marlins. We had an off day and flew to Pittsburgh. My family flew out to Pittsburgh.
Awesome, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So we're running up on about the end of the time. So I got one question for you.
Okay.
If you, knowing what you know now, if you could change anything, or if you could go back and talk to the younger you, what would you tell yourself? High school self, what would you tell yourself?
High school self, I'd probably tell myself at a younger age, don't worry about anything, keep your head down and grind. And that was told to me when I got to pro ball by Dimitri Young. He told me, don't ever look behind you, don't ever look in front of you. He said, there's always going to be someone in front of you. And he said, every year they draft to replace you. He said, take care of the business where you're at.
Yep. I love that. I love that. It's so simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's so simple, but it's like you got to follow it.
Yeah, it's hard to follow. I've never thought about it that way. I always just thought about trying to get there to the next spot, trying to push, and never, taking care of necessarily where I was at.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great. And it's funny, when the more people we talk to about this, this answer is so constant, where it's like, hey, care less, don't worry, take care of yourself, and those good things are going to happen if you make it fun. There's always one thing that I always took with me was, if you're playing a wiffle ball game, you're going to be playing your best because you're just playing the game. And a lot of times we put so much stress because we understand the obvious importance, but we're the best when we're loose and we're having fun and not worrying. So if you're out, for all the kids listening to this, that's I think a really good piece to be taken out of this.
Yeah, and it's so hard to do that because it's counterintuitive.
Totally, because you care so much. You care so much, but you need to care less.
Yep.
We are our own worst enemies, people.
Definitely.
Yeah. 100%. I've had a lot of coaches say that. Get out of your own way. Get out of your own way and go play. Stop overthinking it. You're doing too much. Get out of your own way and go play the game. Have fun, and it'll fall in place.
Absolutely.
Love that.
And that's all we got today, guys. That's StickTalk podcast. Again, Danny, thank you so much, man. This was a blast.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank you guys very much.
Learned a lot.